Okay, so you are Leah Foley from Invoke Spirit, which is a lovely name, I think.
Thank you.
And you are a medical intuitive and intuitive healer coach. And we will talk about modalities or healing modalities, and especially about creating healing modalities. And I would be curious, how did you find out that you are meant to create your own modalities?
That's a good question. Yes, it was. It's an interesting story. I didn't actually want to create a modality. That wasn't my intention. My main thing was trying to find the healing modality. I knew I wanted to be a healer, or holistic practitioner, however people call it different things. Healer is the easiest way for me to say it, so I say healer. I knew I wanted to do that, and so I was just searching modalities and working with people, and this idea started to pop into my head spontaneously about, because I'd been trained in intuition and I'd been trained in a couple of different healing modalities, and I started doing an Intuition for Healers course, and I wanted to offer them an advanced course, but I didn't know what that was, so I told them I will let you know. And then in that couple of weeks period, things started to percolate, and usually what happens is that I go on holidays with my husband and a download happens. And I think it's because I'm out of all the doing of life and I'm just relaxed, and that really opens my creativity up. And so I was saying, okay, well, what if I just, do this, tune into my body or my liver or something and see what happens. And I was playing and all this interesting stuff came, and I tuned in and I asked, well, what do you want to do with this? And it said, put it out to people in my intuitive community. So I put it out there, and I got 25 people all say that they wanted and I just freaked out and went in the bathroom and hyperventilated, and because my family don't bother me in the bathroom. So I was just sitting there on the toilet, like not on the toilet, but I was sitting on the toilet, rocking, going, oh my God, because a part of me knew that it was like, oh, you're going to now become a medical intuitive. And I'm like, no, that's very scary. Like, I had all sorts of imaginations of what kind of terrible things could go wrong with that. But then I got over it, and I just said, okay, I'm overwhelmed, but let's book people in. And by work, like, they were all really open and beautiful people to work with. And as it went, these things started to form. And so I started to get the process of how to create the modality. And then other things happened. Like, I won't go into the story now, but other things happened, and the same process happened. And then I realized, oh, well, I could offer this to other people, because I'm obviously not the only person who's creating modality. So that's kind of the story.
Mm-hmm.
A
So
long
you
story.
also you embraced the fact that this came to you, and then although it was a bit challenging in the
Yes.
beginning, you
It
started.
was very scary. I was so scared. And I was scared each time. But then once I realized there's actually a process, a general process, obviously each person's creative process and the things they create are different. When I realized there was a process, um, it was scary, but it was also, I was curious. Like, this curiosity was like, will this work? I don't know. Let's find out. And each person that I like played with the new technique added more to the technique than I could have created by myself. And I realized, oh, there's something. And then I don't know, maybe it's synchronicity, or maybe it's just coincidence. But there were a lot of conversations I had happened to have with people about someone, like they talked to the originator of a modality and they said something, or this other person studied under the originator, and so that I was getting firsthand knowledge about how other modality creators, even though I didn't meet them, maybe it was a coincidence that happened, or maybe a synchronicity. But so this pattern started to form, and that's when I was like, oh, there's something here. And I don't think I didn't want to claim that I'd create a modality. Like I didn't want to claim there was a medical intuitive for about 3 years. It took me a while to make peace with all of that as well. So
I like that also. It's kind of a modesty, or not say, because obviously it wasn't you to invent it. You didn't have the idea, oh, I want to go inventing a new modality or something, but it came to you. And so it was this process of accepting and receiving, and then also putting it into the world. So what I get from this is that it could happen to everyone, but you need to feel called also. Like, so what do you think? How does someone know if they are meant to do something on their own, like their own modality?
Yeah, I mean, you make a really good point. Just before I answer that, you make a really good point, because it can feel real. You can also feel really proud that you've created a modality. It sounds really amazing, right? But it can be a distraction to, because then it becomes about an identity, and that can upset the creative process. I mean, you understand the creative process, being, an artist and creative person. So yeah, it can really upset the creative process when you start getting that self-identification involved. And going back to the essence that wants to come through is because it's there from the beginning, but how it looks is surprising in the process. So staying connected. Yeah, people who I find that people who are best, like who are there, they end up, there's this misalignment with all the modalities that they've learned. That it's not that the modalities aren't good. I appreciate all healing modalities. They have different uses and different personality types that suit different ones. So I like, the more modalities, the better for me. But you just don't seem to, it just doesn't sit right with you when you do, you like it, you really love it when you're learning it, you put it out there, and in a very short, or in a very quick time, you start to still feel dissatisfied. And I find a lot of healers learn multiple modalities. And because some people I call traditional modality holders, they learn the modality from their teacher and they hold it true to as it's been taught. They might evolve it a little bit, but they hold it true. And then there's kind of, I don't call myself a rebel, but there might be some rebellious types that don't want to follow away. And then they want to, I'm not a rebellious type. I just, or not openly, maybe I'm just a passive aggressive rebellious type, but it's just like, that I want my creative expression, and it doesn't come through if I don't do it from my own expression. If I'm following someone else's, it's just not quite the energy.
I think I can understand. I would put it that way, that if it's from someone else, you first need to integrate it into your own being. And then if something needs to be changed because you feel this is truer than the other. So that's the way how I would put it.
No, that's a great point, because like, it's not that most people who create a modality have learnt previous ones and they influence the modality. So it's not, there are some people, but it's rare to just completely from scratch modality. But then if you bring on a modality and to modify it, it needs to be different enough to be a new modality. Otherwise it's too much of a copy. It's just an evolution of, so it's a fine line to, and I'm sure with artists too, you get inspired by other art, but you can't copy the art because that's copyright breaching. And
So I have one more question to that modality. Maybe would be interesting to me because I'm not so much into this healing for myself. Kind of how to define modality. Like, I understand it's kind of a technique, but it's also more than a technique. So maybe it would be interesting also for listeners to hear what exactly do you mean by modality?
Yeah, that's a good question. There is no guidelines for a modality, so I have been asked that before, and they go, well, how do I know this is a modality? I'm like, well, there's no legal system that's going to come and do anything with that. But then if it's too similar to the one that your teacher taught, they may take you to court. But the amount of court cases for healers is really low. Like, I think there's only been a Reiki court case. Modalities, so, what I personally define is that you might have your style of healing, and that's a healing style. And if you have a healing modality, it's a system. It's a system that's created, and maybe you might be fluid with the system, but there is sort of a protocol of sorts, and you can teach that to someone else. So yeah, but the process is the same. But so maybe someone of the healing style never thinks to teach that or pass it on. But a modality it's teachable. It's a system, and
yeah. So the system is a good word, I think, that explains it to me. The difference between I'm just doing intuitively. I mean, not just, but
exactly.
Out of the moment, you have like a kind of a container or like a
a structure. I call it a structure, but that's a good point. Yeah, because some people do work spontaneously. I don't. I like structure, but also I've learned that too much structure is not conducive to healing. So you gotta find balances. Yeah, but a loose structure is I prefer a loose structure.
So does this explain also why we do need more modalities, or like this, what we've already said, or is there anything? I mean,
yeah.
You already said that you need to change and integrate your own capacities or intuition.
Yeah, for certain people like myself, or I think creatives, people who are healers or very innovative and creative, I think that authentic expression is really vital. It just dampens your soul on some level if you're not tapping into that on some level. But more modalities, some of the older modalities were from a different time. This is my personal opinion, so I don't think all healers agree with this, but some of the older modalities were from a different time where we had different understanding of health, and we had a different lifestyle. Like, it's much busier now, much more chemicals out there. Like, it's a very different world to what it was like, I don't know, thousands of years ago. More stressful. That's a problem in itself. So I think bringing on new evolutions is really powerful because there's a lot of value. And so some healers or holistic practitioners don't really, they kind of differentiate themselves in the medical system and science. But I think there's a lot of value in that too. So if there is benefit that could aid a modality and really boost it and bring more healing for people, I think that's great. We've also got very different, there's a lot of, gender diversity coming out. There's a lot of, or non-gender diversity. And then there's a lot of neurodiversity. And, there might be certain areas that they need a different type of healing. And so with that evolution, maybe healing could also evolve for that. And then also, sometimes I like all modalities, but I don't prefer to do all modalities. So I have preferences, and kind of like your personality likes certain preferences. So then the more variety would find healing to suit. Kind of like, the 35 flavors of ice cream available. And, some days you want a whole mixture, and some days you just really want the butterscotch vanilla. I don't really eat ice cream anymore, but, when I was young.
Like the palette colors in my space.
Yeah, maybe. Like the color palettes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like you might want to just have really ugly, messy brown colors and earthy, and then other days you want like just red. Just want red. And yeah, it's true. And so, and then I mean, it's probably too complex a conversation here, but health is so broad. Like, even play to me is healing on some level, right? Because playful, I even have, like, in my health plan, I have a whole section just on that, more about play, and and in that comes de-stressing from life and connecting. And there's so much to health, and music, that's healing as well. So our ideas of health is not just like exercise and diet. There's so much to health. And then on top of that, I'm losing my train of thought. I've gone off track. But what was I talking about? Yeah, so there's that with health, but then also different situations can create a healing, like a health issue that would need a particular modality that would specialize in that. And, like you might get hit by a car and that was not like your destiny, but it happened. And therefore your body never needed that type of modality, but now it might do because things have happened that are, so that's, it's a hard topic to explain. But yeah, the modalities, the more there are, the more you can meet the needs of humanity and the diversity of humanity.
Thank you. And so if I understand right, so on the one hand you heal, you do the healing work, and on the other hand you're teaching, and I think we are going into that maybe. So you're teaching other people or see how they can create their own modalities.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's that came through. Again, I do that intuitively, and this course came through, and I was like, okay, this is what I'm teaching. And so I teach people. I just basically, I have processes, but I tell them that if they've got their own processes, use your own. Like the more that you use your own processes, the more that you gain confidence in how much transformation happens, and you can also improve on it to be better for the people that you're working with. But yeah, I hold the space through a period of time, and then we spend the first half, just tuning in, connecting with the energy, letting life show things, and things just form through that intention. And also the creative, like I talk about creative tension a lot, so that the boundaries, bring through a creativity that wouldn't happen if you're just flowing. It's like you have this intention and you have a set time frame, and then things will start to just drop in. And so it's kind of set up like that. And then on the other half, we are piloting. So we've created some rough structure, whether you're ready or not, put it out there, start working with people, and then that just the people that come or get attracted to it end up adding to that. And then you start to, I had one modality, which was for unraveling pain. And for me, I do it very quietly. But when I started working at other people were screaming, people were doing all sorts of noises. And I'm like, is it okay if I scream? And I'm like, are you feeling better? And they go, yes. I'm like, well, continue what you're doing. But I'm just sitting there watching them express in different ways. And then other people do movement. But for me, I'm quiet and still and internal. So if I didn't work with someone else, I wouldn't have realized the extent that modality would allow in to do what it needed. Yeah, so then we have that period after to pilot, and then afterwards you reflect on what you've learned and then how you want to go further. And then what I'm bringing in, what came intuitively, is that the marketing that you need to do to get that work out there is the same process. It's the same container. And so then I don't need to create a whole new course. It's the same course, but another level. And I just need to explain the structures that work, because structures for healing are different to the structures for marketing. And if you understand those structures, you can creatively play. And so then, the part 2 is coming now, and there's a part 3, but I'm putting that off till I understand that better.
I have a question.
I think that answers the question.
Online, so it's online. It's
Yes.
an online course, and it's a group. In a group, you come in a group.
Yes, a small group.
Okay. Everybody works at home, and like this kind of downloads or expressions, you do it like written or
whatever the person's, because I think each person's different. So some people write and they're diligent, and then other people like wait till the last minute and then go, or just after the course they throw it out there because the pressure of that container, They can't put it off any longer, but their spontaneity comes through. And then I'm very careful because it's, healing modalities are, copyright is even harder with healing modalities than is with art, or writing, because you can see if there's been a copy, or you can see art and make a comparison. It's harder with modalities. And so I do say to people, try not to share too much. If you're afraid someone might copy you, or you're going to indirectly influence someone. Like, some people aren't even trying to copy, they just can't help but be influenced. So it's like, be really careful with your IP and what you're creating. It's keep it a trade secret until it's ready to come out. And so everybody's sharing the process and the fears and the uncertainty that happens. And I don't know if this is going to work, or I saw someone and it didn't work and now I don't know what to do. And we just discussed that. And then there's spaces to do your own processing, but trying to be more vague so that we don't influence each other's creations.
So a bit like compared to my space, there need to be this protected space or time also, where people develop their modality. And so I see this, because I was wondering about the copying, but now I understand it's more about giving the time to mature and to ripen, and to so that it will be really valuable to other people.
I kind of give a structure. Like I said, this is a structure of the key things that are usually in a healing session or usually in a course. And then I'll say that in a copy, in marketing, this is a structure, and now you see with what you're creating how you can fit, or whether you don't want to do this and you just want to do that, so that you can have something to work with. But in the end, the piloting, the testing is what everything shows up, and then they're doing that by themselves and just coming back, and then I process. We're in a small group, but I process each person individually, and we do like something called the presence exercise, which is about getting back into presence, so that what wants to come through, you can hear it or channel it or whatever the person is. And then there's other processes, and mainly just for resistance and fear, because it's a uncertain journey, and so things are going to pop up.
So maybe because we are coming towards the end, I would have this question, like, can you maybe tell about one or two examples of people who did this course with you and now like practicing or doing it kind of successfully?
So there's everybody's in their own journey, so I don't really judge. Like, some people do the whole course and don't produce anything, but they can repeat for free, so they come back the next year and they create something. And then each year, like, some people are evolving further and some people's have got it. Some people have come and they already had the idea, but they just didn't know how to check whether it would work. So we went through that, and then they started piloting on people, and then they've made a course out of it. Other people created a course straight away, but then from that, try not to say the names, so I don't impose copyright or something while they're still in the process of building it, because the whole modality process takes a long time. When you're riding on the previous marketing that's happened from other courses, it's a lot easier because the community already might know what that is, whereas it's from scratch. So it's better to be grounded and understand it's a longer process. And I don't know if this is true, but one of my clients told me that most modalities take an average of 10 to 15 years before they start to get known or start to get traction. I don't know where she got that from. I've never found that, but she said that. But it is a long game. And and then who else? Another person. She was really unsure about becoming a healer. And then while we were working at the course, she goes, I didn't do anything. And I'm like, you just told me you piloted on someone, like you're setting up 3 sessions with them. And she goes, oh, I have done something. So there's like acknowledgement, and then she was finding her own style from that. She was more spontaneous. She's kind of more the healing style rather than teaching someone else. But yeah, there's a few that have, and there's quite a few that like to repeat. There's one that did dance classes and a certain type of dance, and there was reflection on that, and she's now running regular classes with her. She's got like this very devoted community, so they're always waiting for her next class, and she's very creative. So yeah, those kind of things are, yeah, I love watching others create. And then I also end up doing a pilot round with everybody. I think the communal thing, I actually start testing out different things myself, so I have fun as well each round.
Nice. So yeah, it seems to be a very individual process, like you're teaching in a very individual manner. So thank you very much. I would love to go on, but time runs out. And maybe you can add where people can find you and how to touch with you.
Yeah, so if they want to find out more about the course, then they can go to invokespirit.com/Heal a Heart Awakening. It's probably better to just go to invokespirit.com and follow the links, Heal a Purpose, and then you'll find the course. And then I'm on Facebook, which is facebook.com/Invoke Spirit. So yeah, and you'll see things about it. You'll see videos. And then you can organize a 30-minute chat, because some people might have concerns or might want to message me and just go, maybe you're thinking about it, or maybe you're not sure if it's for you. One of the biggest things I find when I'm talking to people, like in the first round, one of the most common things I heard was people say, oh, I'm really interested, but I'm not ready. And it took me a long time to realize what they really meant by that, because if you've studied a modality, or you've studied a couple, or you've studied a spiritual practice and a modality, or a martial arts and a modality, anything can be blended, right? There's lots of art therapy, there's lots of dance therapy, like a lot of things can be blended. But if you studied something and you've worked for a few years in the field, then you're pretty much ready to just give it a go. And then you find out, you really can't know till you're on the journey. And then you find, like, I've done some tests where I'm like, oh, this is a great idea. I do it. And by the second session, I'm like, no, I don't love this. It's a good idea, but I don't love it like something else. So then that's it. It's scrapped. And then it gets recycled in your consciousness and comes back in a different way. And so, yeah, some people realize that when they said they weren't ready, they didn't have confidence that they would be able to, because I don't understand. When I thought about it later, I'm like, well, what determines whether you're ready? Nothing really determines. You're in the process and you find out. But it's very satisfying. I'm sure you experience it with your creative process. It can't be explained. It's just satisfying, and it feels aligned, and therefore you continue to do it. So yeah, those are ways to contact me, basically.
Yeah, thank you so much.